There's a need for everyone to have a sense of independence and confidence. And it's near impossible to be independent and confident when you're impoverished, when you see no hope. Goodwill gives hope.
So for the last 100 years, we've been opening doors for our clients. We'll continue to do that for the next 100 years. Somebody's life has changed, literally, because of us. And there's really nothing greater in the world than being able to change someone's life.
The idea was, let's train people to work. From the very inception of Goodwill, let's train people to work. Let's help them get jobs, because with jobs comes dignity.
And for a lot of these people, no matter what age they are, it's their first work experience. 9 to 5, you're responsible for tasks, you're responsible to be there on time, and learning work skills in itself is something that a lot of us take for granted.
Well, what greater gift could you give somebody to put he or she on a track to be self-sustainable, to be independent in the end, and then hopefully they'll pass it on, so to speak, to others.
Goodwill is the largest voluntary rehabilitation organization in the world. Its programs are varied enough to meet the needs of a wide spectrum of people.
Initially, Goodwill was started by the Methodist Church, and it was started, the first one in Boston in 1902, and then several of them were started, like Baltimore, in 1919. What happened initially is that the ministers had this idea that they could go around using burlap bags and collect donations from wealthier neighborhoods, bring them to poorer neighborhoods where their churches were, and then fix those things. Goodwill then evolved to the point that they wanted to provide work and they wanted to provide training, and they still wanted to have that focus on a charity but a chance. So instead of repairing things, they still collected it and they would turn it around and sell it, and the retail jobs and so forth again became great training facilities. The other thing that's great about the retail, which is what everybody thinks of when they think of Goodwill, is it makes most of the funding for Goodwill.
Now, from the set of his latest motion picture, we bring you Don Amici.
This is Don Amici reminding all of you that those clothes in your closet that you never wear could be turned into wages.
I think Goodwill used to be, ask people for free stuff, and we'll put it in our stores and we'll sell it. And we'll take that money that we make there and train people to become independent. But the scope is so much larger. You can't live and not be aware of the headaches, the poverty, and the real issues in the city, in the area.
So the whole Eastern Shore is part of this Goodwill's territory, along with Baltimore City, Baltimore County, the surrounding counties.
We help anyone, and I think one of the hallmarks of what we do is we have case managers who really care about our participants. They spend a lot of time getting to know the person, really doing a whole life mapping of, here's what your goal is. We're going to help you get there.
What happened at the Baltimore Goodwill is one of the staff members, Earthman Nucia, asked me if he could start a prison to work program. And it was a small pilot program that evolved into a huge program for Goodwill, where they work a lot with ex-offenders.
And people were coming out, they were coming right here to Goodwill, and they were so happy to have a connection and someone to help them put all the dots together.
And you see that our programs that we work with prisoners really do work. If they want to change their lives for the better, we're there to help. And with partners, employment partners that we have that can deal with those those histories with people is really important.
So when we moved to the Baltimore City in 2000, we were now accessible to bus transportation, the subway, so it became much more central. In doing so, we also became more connected to employers. And the employers are really the lifeblood on the other end. There are other customers.
And those are not minimum wage jobs. Those professional, the electrical unions and others, they're high wage jobs.
In construction jobs, we work with most of the hospitals in the region. We work with obviously the pharmacy, because we have a huge pharmacy technician training program right here in our building with CVS.
It's a mock CVS store, and it's primarily for pharmacy tech training. You can go in there and you'll feel like you're in a CVS store, so it really trains them not only for that one particular job, but it gets them into the CVS environment and understanding that a little bit better as well.
And we've been very successful. Our retention rates are tremendous. And it's not only good for us, because we're helping people, it's good for the employers, they're solving a labor need, but it's good for the whole community. That's really, you know, at the end, that's our vision. We want to end poverty, get people to work, and it makes for a better community.
Dignity comes from hope. When you knock on the door of Goodwill, or Goodwill knocks on your door, hope arrives. And then eventually your dignity grows as you become independent.
You know, ideally, Goodwill wouldn't be here. In the ideal world, nobody would need our services, but the reality is that that's not the case. Every day we see more and more reasons why we're important to this community.
All Goodwills have sort of evolved over time, and so we've seen a lot of changes.
So I have a dream that maybe next year I will open Maryland's first adult high school. We spent 2 years working in the General Assembly to get a bill passed, and we did. So now we're working on getting that funded. And we think that could really change the whole trajectory of Baltimore City.
I see Goodwill getting involved with more and more impacts through schools. We're always looking at new training programs. What are the hot jobs? Where are workers needed? They're training workers to independence through jobs that are cutting edge in a community. I congratulate Goodwill for doing that. And when people study how communities turn, they're going to see Goodwill's imprint on that.